When we come to worship, we are celebrating the most epic thing that's happened in all of history. It's a treasure worth selling everything just to get. Y'all, following Christ it's not do more, try harder. It's all about Jesus. Let's just simplify things. It's all about Jesus and the expulsive power of his beauty. Jesus isn't just another guru. Like, he satisfies the deepest longings of our hearts. And if you don't know that, like if he's just another ball to you, if you don't get the big deal, like what is Jesus all about, then Hebrews says your soul is in trouble. God is in the process of a cosmic shakedown. That he's shaking all the fluff, like all the temporary away, and all the wobbly things that we're trying to build our lives on so that only what is unshakable remains. So here's the question we got to think about this morning. In the middle of a shaky world, how can we have a life that's unshakable? Well, Hebrews tells us this morning by laying out two ways of life. He shows us that it's the life without Jesus or the life with Jesus. Or to put it another way, the author tells us about Mount Sinai and Mount Zion. Mount Sinai is the polar opposite of stability. You know, Sinai was all about placing boundaries between a holy, holy God and sinful people. If your identity is in being in a good person, that you do more and you try harder than anybody else, or even if you do more and try harder than just one other person, you know, we feel superior to that person. Look, that's okay. That might hold for a little while. But what happens to that foundation when you come into the presence of God and your wheels come off? So see, Sinai was never meant to be a place of refuge. It was never meant to be a safe place for us. It was meant to point us to our need of grace, to show us, to point us to Jesus. So, and here's the sobering thing. If we find our identity in anything other than Christ, which we do all the time, or if we like so many other Americans, so many other Christians, we have this view of God that God is watching us. And he's just waiting for us to slip up so he can strike us down and curse us and make our lives miserable because of whatever that sin that we did last weekend. If we think that, then we are living on Mount Sinai, and we will never have the stability to face this life. But thankfully, Hebrews says there's another mountain. He says in Christ, we come to Mount Zion. In Zion, we have a life that's unshakable, which means at least three things. First, it means that in Zion, we have an unshakable future. How about that? Unlike other world religions, we don't have a geographical center. And so we don't have a homeland. Our geographical center, our home, is heaven. Zion is the city of the living God. It's the new heaven and the new earth. And it's going to be a real human city, not marked by power, but by peace. And a place where sin and suffering and pain and heartbreak will be no more. Westminster, look, we're not perfect. We're not a perfect church. But as we worship and live in community, it's a foretaste. As we're about to eat, it's a foretaste. It's a teaser of this future city. But not only that, we also have an unshakable joy. And I'm so excited about this. I hope y'all hear. Y'all, other than Sinai, the presence of God is always this place of infinite joy, of angels worshiping and celebrating. So if you love good parties, heaven's the place for you. Like, how do we practice this joy? Well, every Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, I want you to know that we have a party at Westminster, and you're invited to come. And you're invited to practice celebrating your deliverance by worshiping Christ with joy and hope and expectation, and as verse 28 says, with gratitude, with reverence, and with awe. We also have an unshakable identity. May our identity not be in what we do, but that our names are written in heaven right now, if you're in Christ. Y'all, there's no such thing as a second-rate Christian. So don't hang your head in shame because of what you've done or who you think you are. Y'all, listen, we are all firstborn sons and daughters who get all of our Father's attention, all of his love, mercy, grace. We're the apple of his eye, and we're going to get a huge inheritance. So, Westminster, let's stop trying to gain our identity on this earth, and let's start living from the identity that we already have in Jesus. Come on. How can the God of Sinai all of a sudden be the God of Zion? Because they're the same God, but something drastic had to happen for that change to take place. Well, 2,000 years ago, I want y'all to know that something did happen in time and space and history. You know, to touch Sinai meant death, and yet there was one who died. So he received the shakedown we deserve. On the cross, God's judgment was satisfied. Y'all, there is therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. So Westminster, Jesus was shaken so we could have a life that's unshakable.